Hey guys, this is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today I'm doing Comic Uno episode 156, and this is the show where I review all the comics I've read this week in one show. So let's get started. We go worst pick of the week to best pick of the week, and I only have 15 comics this week, so that's kind of a lighter load for me. So what was number 15? What was worst pick of the week? And that was Evil Heroes issue 1 by Zenescope. I was kind of picking this up on whim. You know, I love supporting Zenescope's books, and I thought it was interesting that they were doing this whole superhero costume type comic book, because usually they do like not folklore, but usually like fairy tales type things, horror they're known for, but not really superhero stuff. So I was like, oh, what are they gonna do? And here it just kind of felt very generic in a lot of ways, that they all looked like DC characters, especially, you know, we have like the Flash and Superman type character, the Wonder Woman type character, and you don't know anything about them. You just see them like destroying everything, and there's no character that's really highlighted that you want to follow their journey with. They're all just like evil heroes doing evil things, and that's the big plot. Also, the artwork was kind of average for me. Coloring wasn't too bad, but average. So I gave it 2 stars. I just thought it was a little bit too generic and too much like DC heroes, and not really bringing any originality to the table. So that was my number 15 pick. So moving on to number 14, which is Justice League issue 2. Talking about generic, still not really feeling this arc. I probably will drop Justice League for a time after this, because again, just not feeling the arc. I just feel like it's not really progressing anywhere, and it just feels very plain to me. It's just our heroes that we've seen a billion times fighting a villain and fighting this big earth-shattering thing, and it's just boring to me. The colors are boring, the interactions are boring, and a little inconsistent, because for some reason it looks like Jessica can make constructs in this issue where she can't do that in Green Lanterns. So it's even inconsistent with the actual Green Lanterns title. So I gave this number 14, and that got 2 stars. Moving on to number 13, and that is Invincible Iron Man issue 2. I mean, issue 12, not issue 2. I wish it was issue 2, because I like the first arc of Iron Man, but not loving this one. I think this like picks up a little bit, but it's more of like it's too late to save Invincible Iron Man, because it's going to be moving on to other things, and I'm like, why am I reading this? But the artwork is super dark, that you can't see anyone's faces. I like that they introduced Riri here, at least learning a little bit about her character. But again, like even when Tony enters the scene, it's like, oh, but you add this whole arc that was a waste of time. I'm like, I don't even care that you're back. And there wasn't anything that really shined for me in this issue that made me want to say, hey, this is awesome again. So I gave this, I think, 2 stars. I'm just not enjoying Iron Man, and I don't really see the point of this arc. It's just like, oh, just give us Riri and Dr. Doom already, because at least it'll be something different. We know where it's gonna go. So like, it's at this point, like, why do we read Iron Man? But I want to finish off the series. That's why I'm reading it, and because of Mary Jane. If it wasn't for Mary Jane, probably would have dropped this series a long time ago. All right. So now we're moving on to number 12, which is Green Arrow issue 4. There's a lot of lackluster issues this week. But anyways, another lackluster issue of Green Arrow. I am not getting into this. It's still too horror based. I mean, I guess I like the Diggle and Oliver scenes. Like, they fight and they're like, hey bro, wanna be friends? Yeah. Cool. Then they, of course, team up with Henry from the New 52, and they're going to fight these demons, which I don't care about. So the plot doesn't really progress that much, besides Diggle and Oliver saying, yeah, we're friends in a weird way. And the artwork's good, that I will say. I really do like the art style, but I just don't really like the direction of Green Arrow. It doesn't really feel new, besides that Black Canary's here, who's hardly shown in this book anyways. So Green Arrow issue 4 gets 2.5 stars for me. That's number 12, I believe. Let's check. Yep, we are moving on to number 11, which is also an under 3-star book, and that is Bloodlines issue 5. I really liked this book in the beginning. It was very C-list, but it felt different C-list, and now it's just C-list. Now it's just like this really bad C-list horror book, and I just don't care about the characters as much as I did in issue 1, and they're all being taken, taken by alien parasite things, and just not very interesting to me. So Bloodlines issue 5, I will finish up the miniseries because issue 6 is the last issue, but wasn't feeling this one. So I gave that 2.5 stars, and that was number 11. Alright, so now we're moving on to number 10. The last book that is under 3 stars, and that is Marvel Tsum, whatever it is. Issue 1. It's those little creatures that are being sold by Disney / Marvel now, the little like plush things. They wanted to make a comic out of this. So I thought, this might be a good opportunity to sell a cute type book and be funny. And I thought it was a one-shot actually, and then like I read this issue and then I saw to be continued. I'm like, nope. I thought this was just gonna be like a 40-page one-shot, and it just wasn't. But if you have kids, I would say read it. Like, it's kind of fun that they find these like little creatures and stuff like that, and I mean there's an interesting little story arc going on with their next door neighbor being a villain and stealing these creatures and having the power because of it. So that was a cute little side story, but definitely not enough for me to want to pick up the next issue, just because this is just selling these Tsum things, whatever they are. I thought it could be cute, but the cuteness factor definitely did not overweigh me liking this story. So I gave it 2.5 stars. If you like these products, you might really like it. If you have kids, you might like it. Other than that, I don't think you should pick it up. That is number 10. Moving on to number 9, we finally have a 3-star book, and that is Superman issue 4. So Superman, still not totally into, just because the artwork's weird. I feel like they don't know what to do with Lois in this book either. They're just like, even Clark is like, Lois, jump, roll. And she doesn't do that. Like, she doesn't really do much in this book. Then she's like trying to touch something, like touch this stone, and she doesn't really do that correctly either. So I just feel like they don't know what to do with Lois, but she's still there. And then I'm personally not into the Eradicator story that much. I didn't really know how that connected to the military thing. It's not bad. Like, I like that the family's kind of doing this stuff, and I really like John as a character, and I think he shines a lot in this book, but 3 stars for me. I'm still on the fence with this one. It's still not wowing me. So Superman issue 4 gets 3 stars. And I believe that was number 9. Let's see. My iPad almost fell. That would have been bad. Okay. Out of like the 150 something episodes I've done, my iPad has never fell. Okay, anyways, going into number 8. And that is Injustice Gods Among Us issue 5. Another 3-star book. So with this issue, it focuses a little bit more on Superman's side, that his team doesn't really trust him. The Batman side is just Batman, I guess, still in mourning with Alfred, and them trying to find out like a covert idea to try to attack Superman's allies, and that's the big part of the issue. So I will say it's a little slower than the previous issues. I don't know if it's a must-read, honestly. It kind of is the same thing we've been seeing with Injustice. Like, all right, Batman needs to come up with an idea. Superman's being mean to people, and that's pretty much the book. There wasn't a big character moment like the other Injustice comics has had recently, so I gave this issue 3 stars. That was number 8. Yes, 8. Alright, so now we're moving on to number 7, which is Nightwing, issue 2, which is also a 3-star book. Don't worry, we're getting out of that 3-star area soon. Nightwing. The aspect I liked was definitely Barbara in the issue. I like that they're adding her. Don't really like that Dick Grayson is just like, bye Barbara. So it's never the right time for either of them. And then the Mentor's okay. I like that he's kind of like against the Court of Owls. That should be interesting. But still don't like the Court of Owls story overall. I still don't really know why they're doing this. It's like all these stories we've seen before through the New 52. His relationship with Barbara not working out. The Court of Owls. All of this we've seen before. Inner monologue is still good, but still not wowing me, this book. And the artwork is pretty plain, and his mask is still weird. It's a very plain artwork. Nightwing issue 2 gets 3 stars. Alright, I believe we're up to number 6. And we are. And actually, there was no 3.5-star books this week. We jump into 4-star books, and that is Green Lanterns, issue 4. I thought this was a solid issue. Now, I feel that the chemistry between Boz and Jessica could still be a little better. There's definitely moments that needed to happen. I think those moments could have been more powerful. They weren't like tear-jerking and loving their friendship because of it, but it was necessary scenes where Boz is like, yeah, I've been kind of mean to Jessica. And Jessica is realizing, I don't really want to be a Green Lantern. And they both like kind of go out of their self-doubt and they join together because they talk to each other finally, yes, for positive communication, and they're gonna go try to fight the Red Lanterns, but the Red Lantern's like, we're gonna attack you. So the big little cliffhanger here, that's contradicting. The big cliffhanger here is that Atrocious says, you must join us. Kill your partner and betray the Green Lantern Corps. So it definitely brings a challenge to Jessica and Boz's relationship that they kind of just formed in this issue. So again, was the conversations mind-blowing? No, but it was necessary, and I thought it was a very solid book that progressed the story, and with an interesting cliffhanger that got you interested in issue 5. So Green Lanterns issue 4 gets 4 stars. Moving on to number 5, which is Batman issue 4. A book that's really been surprising me, honestly. I didn't really love Batman with Rebirth in the first 2 issues, and then issue 3 surprised the hell out of me, and issue 4 being a very solid story with learning more about Gotham and Gotham Girl, showing the aftermath of Psycho Pirate. And then we find out that Gotham's parents have died kind of off screen, which was weird. I kind of feel like this issue could have dealt with that death a little bit more than just a cliffhanger. But it shows that Gotham, who was a true hero, might be going down a darker path, and you definitely want to see where this goes, because it's how Batman obviously takes justice differently, and his anger and sadness of his parents differently, and Gotham's like, no, nothing's gonna change unless we kill, and we save Gotham ourselves in this different way. So I thought that was interesting. David Fitch's artwork works really well for this book. So Batman issue 4 gets 4 stars, and that's number 5. Moving on to number 4, which was a book I kind of got randomly because is Ed Brubaker, and I haven't been picking up his other books like Fade Out and Fatale, which I hear are great books, and I wanted to try his crime type image books, and that was Kill or Be Killed issue 1. It's a little bit of a longer issue. I don't remember the price tag, but it definitely gets you interested in the main character. Love the artwork. It's kind of similar to Outcast, like that style artwork. And you learn why this character, needs to kill people, and you definitely feel for the character, and it establishes the story really well. So I thought it was a good first issue, solid first issue, and it gave me enough to want to pick up issue 2. So that was number 4, and I gave that 4 stars. Moving on to number 3, which is was one of my favorite miniseries from, I think, last year, and I'm glad it came back, and that was Lady Killer 2, issue 1. So this is the second miniseries continuing from the first miniseries. And I will say it's not very new reader friendly. That's kind of my big negative for the issue, but I liked it a lot as someone who did read the first volume. I like that this is not as, character driven as other books. You know me, I'm usually more of a character driven reader, but I like kind of the tone of this 50s housewife killing people, and we don't really know her motive of why she's okay with that, but it still works. And in the end, we see some developments in this story. The grandma / mother-in-law knows that she's up to something, Lady Killer. And in the end, now Lady Killer is working for herself, and I love her little narration about working for herself and being a killer. But someone's found that she's killing people. So there's this amazing shot of the deer in the headlights of oh, what am I going to do? So I am excited to see where that goes, and I thought it was a really good first issue. So Lady Killers 2, issue 1, I do recommend you read the first miniseries if you want to get this, but it was really well done if you have. So I gave that 4.5 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, one of my favorite Marvel series right now, and that is Silk, issue 11. This was really well done. I like how Silk has turned into a very character-driven, jumping into Cindy's head type book, delving into her psychological problems after being stuck in a bunker for 10 years, which I feel like is very important. So what I like about this issue, and really a lot of the past issues, how every issue is formatted in Cindy's psychiatrist sessions, therapy sessions, and I like how they format that. And this issue is about Cindy's anger issues, and we see how that is different with the different relationships she has, like her ex-boyfriend, which we actually get that face-to-face, her best friends, who finally, encounter Cindy saying, hey, I know you're Silk, and then they go into the negative zone, which I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, but if it means that you find your parents, that's good. But yeah, you just see the different relationships, J. Jonah Jameson, Mockingbird, and it was really well done, and it digs deeper into Cindy's character, and it does progress the plot more too, to hopefully find our parents, because this has been a arc that we've been looking for. So I really enjoyed it. If you like psychological digging into characters type issues, I recommend Silk. So Silk issue 11 gets 4.5 stars. Moving on to number 1. Pick of the week is Paper Girls, issue 8. This is one of my favorite series right now. It's just such a good series that really never disappoints. And with this issue, we get a lot of development. We get finally kind of the reaction to Mac and realizing she's gonna die soon. And Mac is definitely in denial right now. She's like, oh, I don't care, and starts smoking a cigarette. And Tiffany's like, do you think that's smart? She's like, well, I didn't get lung cancer, I get leukemia, it doesn't matter. But she still wants to survive, so I'm interested to see where that story goes. And then we get a little bit more from the 2 Erins and the 3rd Erin, so we get to learn a little bit more about this world through the 3rd Erin. But the 2 Erins, they're kind of bonding, you see the differences, but they are bonding and kind of remembering their past. And then in the end, they're like, where's KJ, where's KJ? And they find her field hockey stick, and I'm excited to see where KJ is, because I think she's like gonna be badass when we see her, because she's probably gone through a lot, and it seems like she's gotten smarter. So KJ now, and I hope we get an issue just of KJ, what she's been up to. But anyways, her hockey stick, they find it, and it says, don't trust the other Erin. And I'm like, what? It's like, why? And that was just such a good cliffhanger. I really enjoyed this book. So many good story progression and just some great character moments overall. So if you're not buying Paper Girls, buy it. This is definitely my favorite issue this week. I gave it 4.5 stars. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. And I'll see you guys later.